All right, this is James Pelton, and I am here. I am now in San Diego. So we're again doing a 5 week road trip. We left Nebraska. We went down through Zion National Park in Utah, went up through Vegas and Reno and Sacramento, and now we're working our way down south to San Diego. So it's been a very fun trip. I miss my office. I miss my fiber internet. I miss getting full night sleeps. We pulled in pretty late last night, but always happy to hop on and do a live in the morning. So if you're just joining us as we wait for people to come on, what I need for you to do is hit the like button. Again, that's what tells YouTube algorithm that hey, this is good content. We want to show a lot of people, so please hit the like button and please comment. I should think of these questions beforehand because I always freeze on the spot. But let's comment as people are coming on. Let's get well the good old comment where you're watching from. Okay, what part of the country you're watching from. Again, since I work from my laptop a lot of the time, I like to have ideas for travel. So let me know where you're watching from, and could my family, my wife and my 3 kids and my 4 college students that live with us, could we stay with you if we went on vacation to your part of the country? That's what I'd like you to comment today. So we are talking about a play to earn game today. Humans are mean. And I know a while ago I made a resolution no more play to earn games, but I figure it's been a while. I've given it a break, and Humans Are Mean has some unique tokenomics, some unique ideas. So I wanted to just hear from them and talk through with them what they're up to. So Mr. Pink and Mr. Purple, thank you guys for coming today. Could you start? And let's start with Mr. Pink, and then we'll go to Mr. Purple. Could you start by introducing yourself and giving a little bit of your background?
Yeah, absolutely. We are both from the US. My background's actually in game development. I have over a decade of game development background. I have marketing background, and right now I'm primarily assisting Mr. Purple with some front end development. Yeah, we come from really really good, solid development background. We have kind of multiple decades in there. Mr. Purple.
Yeah, I've been the primary nerd on this project. I started on this just as kind of like a fun project to work with friends, and also to kind of serve the passion for trying to like delve in and embrace the new like blockchain technologies and fully adopt and understand it. Um, so as we navigated into this like very murky and somewhat scary world of DeFi games and NFTs, we were uh, we were interested in like really taking our time and spending our time and understand uh, what the what the really murky and like carefully navigate this kind of thing to make it valuable for anyone who would want to participate.
Yeah, I really wanted to comment on there. We we actually have worked together for many years in the past. We have one more member of our development team, which is right now kind of on a bit of a family hiatus, which we totally support. But we have also worked with him for many years. Unlike I think unlike maybe many other projects, this is uh, a passion project from us. We saw an interesting niche to come together to kind of bring our skills and like, "Oh, okay, we're big gamers. What can we bring together here? And then try to bring the community something fun and healthy, which it turned out to be our primary goal. So
Okay, very cool. And I want to welcome 2 people who are watching the replay. Again, that's where a majority of the views come from. I want to welcome you. And if you're watching the replay, I also appreciate you leaving a like and commenting where you're watching from. Really appreciate that. So and it's nice to meet you, Mr. Pink and Mr. Purple. Would you go ahead and start by maybe, for again, assuming people have no idea what Humans Are Mean is, could you kind of give maybe an elevator pitch of what you're trying to build with it?
yeah, absolutely. So is play to earn for sure. We're on the Avalanche network. Um, we our core sensibilities with the project, our core goals is we want to create a system that has tokenomics focused on stability and longevity, and through gameplay the players to have great elements of strategy to bring them value. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Everything else that we talk about today will just be spins on that. Our primary goal, very much, every decision that we took in the design phase focused on longevity of the project, stability of our tokens, to in the end provide as much value to as many people as possible.
Okay, very cool. So I don't know if you want to share the screen just to give people kind of an idea, or maybe I do that. But do you want to kind of walk through maybe more of the specifics? So I think my audience is pretty familiar with play to earn games, but do you kind of want to make walk through your idea for what you're building?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, if you don't mind, could I take over?
Yes. Oh, did I do my? I did my screen share. Oh, yep. There you go. Okay,
Yeah,
you're the driver.
brilliant. So we are like I said, in the elevator pitch style, I always like focusing on the longevity and the stability of things. But it comes down to it that the fun part of it, the game part of it, is that we have created up to about 120 or so thousand unique NFTs. That's the possibility. I don't. Our goal is not to mint all of those, but we have unique artwork up to that many zombie NFTs, right? You'll need at least one zombie to play. We are kind of effectively try token. I think hopefully I'm positive your audience is very well familiar with all of that. But our primary token is a token that we call NUG, and that is the kind of inflationary token. Our secondary token is Chem. Um, each one of those tokens kind of have their own use cases. And this is the absolute. I want everybody, the entire audience. This is the boring part. This is the boilerplate that I have to give just to make sure everybody understands. But trust me, it gets exciting here in a second. But boilerplate wise, Chem you acquire. We think it's pretty neat. After every zombie mint, you get Chem along with that purchase. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. It is heavily moderated in terms of the system giving out Chem, right? The only way to get it is through zombie NFT mints. That Chem is used to level up your zombies. All the zombies have kind of a variety of skills that we'll talk about here in a second. And that is where we start getting into the strategy aspect that I was talking about earlier. So we use Chem to level up. Zombies have skills. There are 3 skills for every zombie: leadership, gathering, and support in a variety of rarities. And then you're, as the player, tasked to group zombies together, and you can have up to 5 active groups on your account. And depending on their cumulative skills, they will net you nug in a variety of speed and amounts. Um, Leadership, for example, governs how many zombies you can have in that group. So if you have a strong leader, let's say a level 10 leader, you can have up to 10 plus your leader worth of zombies in that group. But how fast and how much nug that they find is completely dependent on their levels, which also comes into talk about kind of rarity a little bit. Um, every zombie that is minted, there's a dice roll, and you will get a random amount of support, which is how fast you find nug, gathering, which is how much nug you find, and leadership works a little bit differently. It is based on it's kind of the far more rare skill. So that has hopefully a lot of value to the players, both in kind of G0 and later. That kind
Okay.
of brings us into a little bit more of the advanced token strategies, but any questions or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe before we get into the advanced, I just wanted to welcome the audience again. 3 Doritos later. Good to see you, Ryan. Good to see you as well. Yeah, please do hit like button and yeah, comment. People are saying I need new questions. But yeah, let's comment where you're watching from, and that's the question. Can you kind of explain? Do you see this as an investment or a game or a combination of the two, or kind of how do you look at that?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question. I'll give you my personal take on it. Very, very much first, as a group, on the project, we took an emphasis far more in providing value to the user base, stability, right? Far more than the effort that, I shouldn't really say the effort, but I guess we put far more working hours into making sure that the tokenomics were valuable, um, and then everything else took a back seat to that. So knowing that, I can't say any different than we took the emphasis of value and getting value to our players more than kind of the game aspect of it. That being said, the game aspect of it was our, I think, all of our passion. Like, that was the part that really jazzed us to get in. And we've seen many other projects out there that also took an emphasis on, creating kind of a game first and then providing value second. The the thing about that is, and I think this comes into some of the kind of mixed mentality in P2Es right now, is really, as a player, as an audience member here, we kind of have to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? I mean, are we really interested in the game part first? Maybe the answer is yes. I know many people want a really engaging game that they can just get a little bit of return on. But I think for our audience, for the people that I have talked to most, and this has definitely been an iterative project based a lot out of our Discord community. Um, we've talked to kind of many other groups about it. It it's kind of funny, but I think people want value first, and that's what we focused on.
Okay, no, that's super helpful. And then, so I used to be big into play to earn games. Like I used to get into every single one pretty much. I really enjoy them. I love gaming and I love passive income, and so the two being, married together is too much for me to resist. But can so what we've seen with a lot of these play to earn games is that they have a lifespan of maybe just a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and then the inflationary token, gets dumped too hard, and then it ends up kind of at nothing. Do you want to talk about maybe what you guys are doing? And you kind of talked a little bit about it already, but do you want to talk about maybe what you're doing a little bit differently to make this game not end the same as those other ones?
Yes, this is where the project differentiator is, no question. And I think your audience is going to be really excited to hear this. So, we have developed a system, again, with the community, with other uh, kind of feedback from other P2E game developers that we have had connections with. And I'm going to kind of talk about this little system right now. Now, the cool part about this is its complexity. So as I'm going through this, I want all of you to know, this might take a second to fully ingest. Right? I wish that I could. I probably could give you an idea of the tokenomics here in a really succinct way, but to be honest, I think it wouldn't be as valuable to you. I feel that the people that get involved in these P2Es and get really passionate about it are some of the most intelligent people that I've ever met. I mean, the amount of detail and planning and everything that can go into a good value return is amazing. So I want to give you the respect of really trying to give you the most detail possible I can out of this. One of the ways that we differentiate, um, this kind of addresses your question. This is almost like a setup to fully address your question. And that is that all of our zombie NFTs, in fact, even are leveling up. Even we also offer re-rolling. So if you get a zombie and you're like, Ah, this is the worst. I want to re-roll this, but I don't necessarily want to purchase a new NFT. We have a re-rolling capability as well, so you can just hit the dice again. Um, all of those things are based on an AVAX price. So what we do is it's not that zombies will always cost AVAX. We use an API to go out to Pangolin, for example, and we say at any given point, this is how much a zombie should cost. Um, for G0, what we're using to fund our liquidity pool, they will be just a base to AVAX. But afterwards, and I'll talk about this kind of a little bit later, but there's a linear decline. So once we start the actual game launch, from that point until the end of our mint, we will decline the price in AVAX, which will reduce the prices of everything kind of globally. So, how we set all of our prices in Nug, how we set prices, we also have items that can modify zombie skills, for example. They can be used in a group. All of that, we go out to Pangolin and we say, hey, what's the current exchange value, right? So, how many Nug is there to one AVAX? And then we wait for that response, and then we say, okay, so we can naturally speed up or slow down the gameplay based on that conversion rate. Because effectively, what we're saying is, what does a zombie cost in Nug, right? If Nug is really, really healthy, the gameplay speeds up for all the players because the amount of Nug that they're going to earn over time, the price of the zombie and Nug will be lower, but the amount that they earn is only going to go up. So they'll be able to reinvest much faster. But also, if they do exit the system, the health of Nug at that point will be high and they're able to get some value there. Likewise, if the health of Nug is declining, that naturally slows the game down a little bit. And that natural pacing, in my opinion, from the analysis that we've given, pacing is kind of one of those things with P2E games that we all kind of need to be aware of. We've seen some really exciting projects out there. In fact, I've lost investment on many really exciting projects out there. I'll be honest, and that's because their pace was just, often either much faster or much slower than I thought was going to happen. Right. So by being able to control this pacing, what we're doing is we're saying the healthiest level of pacing is this exchange rate. And if it's any faster than that, speed it up, right? If it's any slower than that, slow it down a little bit. Let everything return to a stable normalcy. And that should help elongate the health of the project, right? So that's one way that, to address your question.
Yeah.
Um,
And can I just to make sure I understand, so basically you're when you talk about slowing or speeding up the gameplay, you're talking about the mission that like your NFT is putting out, is that correct?
Yeah, so it's not really the emission. The player will get the same amount. We don't speed up or slow down the emission itself. It's that their reinvestment into growing stronger to be able to get more emission will speed up or slow down. So it's not necessarily the value to the player so much as their ability to grow faster or slower depending on the health.
Okay, nope, that's super helpful. So basically, you're checking that's it's actually a kind of good idea, not just for play to earn games, but for all projects. But basically, you're checking the health of the token, and if it's not healthy, then you're gonna slow everything down, and if it is, then you'll speed it up. So yeah, that's a cool idea. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
No, no, yeah. Yeah, and then really the reason why I went over that first is because it's the foundation to a lot of the other systems that we build. If you kind of keep that in your back pocket and just kind of understand that uh, a lot of the design decisions that we came to all are based on, is the health of the project, like that's kind of a number that we try to generate, right? Is the project in a healthy place or is it in a bit of an unhealthy place? All the rest of these features then just say, hey, how can we return the like use tokenomics, use market pressures to help turn the project back to health, or in some cases, and this is the bitter pill. So that last part is sweet, right? So we can build the project back up to a healthy place. But something else to keep in mind is with stability and longevity, we also don't want to burn out too quickly. So if the project is going at an absolute, we're at ludicrous speed, we have to slow that down a little bit. There are certain things that we have to do. There are it's not that we implement any negatives to the player, but some of the benefits that we give you begin to fall away because you don't need those anymore from a sense of the project is very healthy. So that leads us into the bank. There are two different. This is my favorite system, by the way. There are two different parts to the bank: deposits and withdrawals, just like real life. Well, I mean, there's many more things you can do at a bank, but you know what I mean. Deposits and withdrawals. Um, this is effectively that whenever you mint a zombie, like I mentioned before, you get Kim with that. That goes directly into your wallet's bank. Um, whenever you get Nug and you claim it from your groups, it goes directly into your wallet's bank. Now, pardon me. All of these things are tax free at that point. That's a major benefit to the players. So the Nug that you get from the bank, you can reinvest that into the rest of the project. For example, you can buy items with it. You can buy NFTs with it. You can, kind of reinvest and get more zombie NFTs. All of that straight out of your bank balance. Now, the important part there is that one of the things, if the player is taking an action that is healthy for the rest of the project, for the community in general, we don't want to punish them, right? And some taxes can be seen a little bit of as a punishment for players. So this is one of the ways that we urge people to just focus on your strategy first. Know how long do I want to reinvest in this project, and when do I want to get out? When is the right time to make the decision for each player to say, okay, I want a little bit of return right now, kind of thing. And just be knowledgeable about that. That brings us into withdrawals, right? So you have a period of time where you build the strength of your groups, your nug finding capability, you're evolving your zombies, you're gaining rarity in leveling them up with your use of chem. You're doing all of these things, and you're doing that in a way that is unhindered by the system, relatively tax free. And then you say, okay, I want to take a little bit of this out of the bank, or I want to take all of this out of the bank, and I want to go out to the open market with it. Fine, right? That's great. But we have to be aware. This is one of the areas where we need to be a little cautious if we're taking a responsible approach to the rest of the community. Chem itself is never taxed because there is I can't stress this enough. It's like our favorite token. It's finite. There will never be any more than roughly the number of zombie mints. You get one chem at full price. You get one chem per zombie mint, and then, like I mentioned before, there's kind of a linear cost decline. There's also a chem return cost decline with that, or sorry, not cost, reward decline, where you start to get partial token. So it's not exactly equivalent, but there will never be any more chem than that. What hits the market from that, what's used back into the game, we will either burn or through a reward system find some way to give that benefit the community with that amount that we're gathering on the contract. But that is the ceiling amount of chem. It never gets any higher. So chem is not taxed, but nug is, and we control it exactly the same way as that previous health that we were talking about. The tax rate that you get when you're leaving the system, where you're gathering up your nug and you're going out to hit it in the open market, it's really simple. If the health of nug is high, the tax is low. Basically, the health of the project is at a point where we say, okay, it's healthy for the community, it's healthy for the project, you get taxed very little, go ahead and take that out to the open market. However, if you want to leave with the nug, go out to the open market and get a little bit of return, but the project, or at least the token's health, is not doing very well at that moment, you should be aware that the tax rate is going to increase during that time. And what that does is it offers a little bit of project buffer for us to slow down just the amount of people that are trying to hit the open market with the token at that time. Now, this is where I usually need to add an emphasis that it is certainly not, I guess, just like with the rest of life, moderation is the key, right? We want this project to again have that stability, have that longevity. And part of that is, as a community, we get to agree that there are certain benefits that we give you during the healthy times, and that means that there's going to be less benefits during the unhealthy times. So again, strategize, wait for that healthy time, and then make your move when all that's kind of appropriate. Now, that should add stability and kind of slow people down, slow the amount of nug entering back into the market, which then the amount of nug, I probably don't need to say this, but the amount of a token hitting the open market during any time can cause a price decline, right? There is far more availability of that token than there is demand for it, which causes some market movement down. So, this is the last part about the bank that I will bore you with, but it is my personal absolute favorite part, which is okay, we have added a level of stability into the game where we said, hey, slow down for a second. Maybe let's not have that much nug hit the open market just now. Why don't you wait for a better time? So that should slow the decline of the token's health. Now, how do we increase it? And that's where we add in bank deposit bonuses. So at any point where the project is, or I should say the NUG token is less healthy than we want it to be, you can buy token on the open market from wherever you want to buy the token at. And when you add it into the system, if the value of that token is lower than we want it to, we will give you a bonus percentage on top of that. So, for example, let's say there's a situation where the token's about 25% worth, about 25% less than what we want it to be. We will give an appropriate amount of percentage bonus from that. And we can say, okay, if you buy your NUG on the open market right now, effectively you're subsidizing your reinvestment into the project, because your zombie NFT or whatever it is that you decide to purchase with that will be subsidized by the amount that we give you. And that can be substantial. I mean, it could be 25, it could be 30% of that bonus NUG. And that is a driver to say, go hit the open market, purchase that available NUG, which is cheap right now, bring it back into the system, and we'll benefit you for that, which should help us return to a more healthy spot, right? And that's why this is my personal favorite system, is because this is the system that should drive a return to normalcy, and I'm jazzed about seeing if that works. Also, it's a great time to get friends or anything like that, because their introduction into the project will be by definition supplemented by the team, and they'll be able to join at a reduced cost. Likewise, though, if the project is doing really well, we're not going to give you much of a nug benefit because you won't need it. The project's being perfectly healthy, everything's stable, and then we see a linear decrease of that towards stability, to where eventually there's no deposit bonus because the health of the project is perfectly reasonable.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, that was a lot. Yeah. Doritos says, I like the passion of Mr. Pink. So yeah, you definitely can tell that you really like this and are passionate about it, and that's always good to see in a founder and developer. So one thing I do want to ask, not really related to tokenomics, but Lubo, this is kind of the attitude that people have in crypto these days. Probably another rug. And again, no offense to you guys. It's just where we're at in the space right now. But what would you say to people who are worried, oh, they're going to rug pull, they're not doxxed? What would you say to make people more comfortable with you guys? Where are you at with KYC and things like that?
Yeah, no, it's 100% valid, Lubo, to be honest. So we've done a couple of things. One is I hope you can tell. This is a project by a relatively small kind of group of friends that came together that did this for no other reason than we thought we could bring the community something much better than what we had seen before. Um, I was an investor in Ring, for example. I've been an investor in a few of these other projects out there, not necessarily P2Es, that have had rugs. And we, as a group of people that are interested in investing things and seeing some of the successes out there, we thought, you know what, we can bring another one of those projects out to the community. Like chicken's my favorite one, because like who would have thought? You can look into that project like every day and go like, how did you make it this long? And we've analyzed it. There's quite a few projects out there that we've analyzed, and we said, okay, what can we do to kind of bring back the excitement and, kind of like what you mentioned earlier, some of that, a level of trust for a project that you can almost call it passive income from a sense. There, I have enough trust in this project that we're able to get maximum value out of it. So that's what I'll say first is, in some level, all the other lip service that I can possibly give you, that's just something that you kind of got to come to terms with, from a sense of um, there's a history to every business, and that's kind of what we're bringing to the table. Now, here are the things that we're giving back to you to add trust. One, we are kind of based in the US. We are at the very tail end of the process right now. We want to make sure that legally we're doing everything completely correct. One, because taxes are a giant pain in the rear, and we want to make sure that we're not doing anything stupid. But we are at the very tail end of finalizing our officially incorporating as an LLC, for example. We do have a lawyer that we're working with, and in terms of KYC, we have audited many of the KYC services out there. And let me tell you, if you haven't looked into them, um, one thing that I would like to give back out to the community is be cautious about this is kind of a duh thing, but be cautious about taking some of the information from like, okay, these people are KYC'd. Um, we have looked into a variety of those services, and there is some super sketchy services out there. There are services that were very much willing to just say, "Oh yeah, we'll call you guys KFC'd or KFC'd." Ha, that's an internal joke for us. We often call it KFC'd because it is kind of a joke in some sense. There were literally some services out there that was like, "We'll give you the validation, we'll give you our validated NFT," and they barely even checked if we were real. So what we decided to do instead is we talked with our lawyer and we said, okay, how do we avoid giving our personal identities to someone that we're not 100% sure is just going to go and maybe have a little identity theft party on us? So here's what we did. We worked with our lawyer to develop a system that we're calling an identity escrow, which is actually a thing, very surprisingly. And what that is that we will be public. Uh, we'll put out a document, and that basically gives you all the contact to our attorney, and it gives you our business information and all of that. And then at any point, if you feel that something illegal has happened, or there's questions about our a decision we've made or something like that, you can contact the attorney at any time. You can go to your local kind of legal department or whatever that is. You can go to your own attorney. You can have them contact ours, and through that process, you can get all of our information, and you can conduct whatever you think needs to be fair. But most importantly here, the reason why we did that is because in all of the top three most popular KFC services out there, and I make that joke very intentionally, there has been rugs under their watch, and the information that came out of there was not actionable. So this is the decision that we came to, and we think that that gives the community the most power to be able to identify us, and if there is any issue with the project, it gives you the most ability to take action on it.
Yeah, I'd love to chime in too on that. Um, it's my opinion that these KYC are essentially extortion scams, Um, what I would like to see through our project is to set a new standard for these types of projects. There needs to be a way, just like in the financial community, like the legitimate financial community, there needs to be a way for people to go through legitimate authorities to find their way back to an actual entity and have real recourse. And if we can set the standard that the way to do this is by identity escrow with a real legal entity that can actually be found in the real world and isn't yet another bucket of internet strangers in crypto land, then we can start like pulling back from the brink of all of these ridiculous you know, pump and dumps and rug pulls.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that because I think that's absolutely perfect. The thing here is that the community needs a real win. And I think that that is, just to put it very succinctly, the community, I think that this ability to add value into the community, to gain trust and to provide something that can be really enjoyable and hopefully very valuable, it just needs a win right now. There is a whole bunch of people, as happens after a success, that wants to take advantage of an audience, and hopefully that time has passed. And now we're looking for, kind of very hopefully, if all of you will take the ride with us, we want to show that there is kind of what's next. How can we add trust back into it? And through those questions, hopefully we have set up a system where everybody's very confident, because outside of having somebody, honestly, I'm a very private person, so this is a bit of a nervous. Outside of having somebody knock on my door, you have total ability and access to be able to track us down if you feel like we've done something wrong.
Okay, very cool, very cool. I think that's a good answer, and I'm totally with you. I'm up for anything. Yeah, we're clearly seeing that KYC, and I like that KFC. That's good. But we're clearly seeing that whatever we're doing in the space is not really working. Like we're still, we have people go through KYC, and then we still end up with rug pulls. And so yeah, I'm up for just trying different things. And this whole space is kind of just a big experiment, right? And we're not totally sure what we're doing. So it's like, well, let's try this, let's try this. And so I appreciate you guys trying to move forward the space in that way. So Ben would like to know, I want to bring on some audience questions, but how do you prevent whale dumps? Can a whale buy the coin on the open market, push up the price, then dump, pushing the price down?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would love to be able to answer that. There is a protection against that, but realistically speaking, there are in-game protections. In fact, we have many in-game protections against the ability for a whale to invest into the actual game and then play through and then be able to get out in a majorly damaging way. And I can talk about some of those tokenomics again in here in a little bit. There's a whole loyalty system that I can go over, kind of, etc. However, as with any token that's on the open market, the ability to access it is kind of, that is the pro and the con of being in a space like this, right? The pro is that we as a group get to decide the health of any of the tokens, but it's anyone can swoop in at any time. There's, outside of locking down the token and not putting it on the open market, which then affects the value to all of you, we can only do so much. So what we've implemented protects the game itself, but if a whale comes in, logs, comes into Pangolin, finds the token contact ID, and then decides to buy, that's kind of the name of the game. So what we can do is, from the rest of the game standpoint, we can only focus on kind of reestablishing the health after something like that happens, for the entire community to shoulder via taxes, via loyalty system, via deposit bonuses, all that kind of stuff that we've set up to heal from that. And if anybody says any otherwise, I would love to lie to you and say like, oh, yep, that's covered for these reasons. But if anybody says outside of we're not making our token accessible on the open market, they're feeding you funny pills.
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate your honesty on that. Sen, is that how you say your name? Sen would like to know, is currently any partners which will help serve as marketing? Do you want to talk about any partnerships or partnerships that you're thinking about, or what's kind of your marketing strategy?
Yeah, no, it's super great. So we have spoken with a lot of the major kind of areas in Avalanche. We wanted to kind of keep it kind of in the community. Avalanche is definitely something that we're very passionate about, and we want to really raise the health of that community. So we have talked to, for example, um, Hopper's Game, through them also Avalanche Party Animals. We have spoken with Avalanche. We have spoken with Project Europa, for example. Um, we have, oh gosh, there is so many. Um, Anyhow, I'll just say that we have worked our way through. We actually have a community manager who was not able to make it today. He's Mr. Black. He is actually how we came in contact with Mr. Pelton here. Slow myself down a little bit, take a breath. And that's because a lot of our marketing so far has been very grassroots. Took we kind of made a pledge to ourselves. Now, could we pay $300 and then get immediately 10,000, Discord attendance or whatever? Yes, but that would be a really bad form. We want to take an organic growth approach, and so what we've been doing is through our community manager, who has a long and honestly very healthy connection into the AVAX and other kind of NFT communities. We first met him on a group called Magic Internet Friends, and we have since talked to a variety of these early apes, for example. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't remember. Uh, Nope, I'm not even going to give it a. I'm going to butcher their name, and then I'm going to feel regretful for it. But there's quite a few of those, and that's how we've been doing it so far. Now, uh, one of the issues that we've had, and I'm not going to name any names for projects, is that there is always kind of a tit for tat in these, right? There's always a game that needs to be played with some of these partnerships. A lot of the partnerships that we have, uh, like with Magic Internet Friends, like with Early Apes, like with a few of these other places, have been very healthy because uh, the amount that that partner wants to take away from this project has been very reasonable, and we're able to reward them for that. However, many of these other really, really large, like you said, gaming guilds or groups or whatever, I hate to say it, but I don't think that we could maintain the health of the project for all of you with joining some of those groups. They want so much that our ability to add kind of liquidity into these at the level that we want is threatened. We have definitely had conversations with many of them, but I mean, we're talking some really stellar amount of investment in there. Now, all of that is still on the table. We are still having those conversations because that is the kind of marketing that I would really like to do. So it is certainly not that any of those are off the table. But to answer your question, we haven't come to an agreement that we think would benefit the community yet. We do have a variety of other marketing outlets that we are working with right now. We are well funded in terms of marketing, which is very exciting, and I think we'll be seeing some movement on that. Nothing I can really talk about right now, but marketing hasn't really hit yet. We have been, like I said, very grassroots up to this point, which has given us a really great community. One that I absolutely love in our Discord, and we'll start to see some more exciting things in the near future.
Okay, very cool. And then next question is from Ben. Have the contracts been audited? Were they forked or were written from scratch?
Yes, Ben. Purple,
Okay.
I might bring
Yeah,
you
I'm
in
probably
on this.
to jump in on that one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's not been an audit in terms of like contracting an audit service. These are not forked. contracts. These are largely scratch contracts in terms of the things that drive the game itself. We are using open source Open Zeppelin contracts for tokens. So for NFT and ERC20 tokens, for instance, the bank token foundation is Open Zeppelin contract. So it's really only the wiring between those contracts that is custom. The things that are required that other people aren't doing, such as interactions with the Penguin liquidity pool. Those types of contract interactions are not being done anywhere else. So there's really no option to fork those things. So in terms of like the contract visibility, as we get into like a second phase of testing on the AVAX Fuji test network, anybody who participates in that test network with like, no stake test AVAX on the test network that doesn't cost any money, you'll note that on the test node trace, you can see all the contract source code there. So you can actually see what's actually going on. For those that are not in the know, you actually have to have a byte code compiled contract that has to match the code that you upload to Snowtrace. So you can't fake that. When you mint a zombie, you'll see the contract ID on the blockchain. You can trace that down and actually see the source code. So we're planning on keeping that fully transparent throughout the process. Any of those savvy, like Solidity savvy users out there should have a great comfort. And as we get closer to launch and we start locking down things like what functions are pointing to a Gnosis multi-sig wallet, such as like crucial things like how does AVAX exit the treasury? Those things will be transparently only possible to the multi-sig wallet. Those types of things, so that you could see that there has to be developer unanimity before any sort of actions happen, such as like setting up liquidity pools on Penguin. Those things will be official and transparent and easy for any of the tech savvy community to see.
I wanted to add two things in just really quick because you brought up two super awesome points there. Well, potentially. The first one is that if any of you have gotten the thought of like, well, when will this be done in development? For example, Purple brought up just a great point there. We are really effectively developers first, and we concentrated on getting the project done first. It is on a Fuji testnet right now. It is playable from a sense of like, for example, if James was like, hey, I'm interested, can you let me into that testnet? We could let you do that as soon as you would want to. And like Purple said, you could just go get some test AVAX from the Fuji faucet and play to your heart's content. So it's cool. I mean, I'm not saying it's completely polished. We're definitely in the bug fix, right? But we could hypothetically launch within a week now, and we're feature complete at the moment. So we are taking some feedback from the community, and we might be kind of evolving into a few more features, a little bit more emphasis on rarity and bringing a little bit more really early value to NFT purchases. Really exciting stuff like that. But these are all nice to haves. They're not have to haves. And I did want to say on the subject of a kind of a code audit. There is one partner that we're potentially working with. We are in the early stages of that where they require a code audit and they give one. So a code audit might be in the near future.
Okay, very cool. Very, very cool. And so then a couple more questions that I had. So how do you feel that the bear market will affect this? I was just, even just noticing Bitcoin price today and things like that. And we don't have a lot of new investors in the crypto space. So
Yeah.
how do you feel like that's going to affect your game if there's not a ton of new investors coming in? Do you think the game can hold up without a lot of new revenue coming in, or what are your thoughts kind of on that?
Yeah. So um, I actually, before this morning, I was like, well, I think we've reached some stability, right? But we saw a little downturn today. Um, so the bear market is actually something that I think is actually an exciting opportunity for all of US players. I say that I totally understand that's a little bit gimmicky. However, if we really think about it, what we've done for the past few weeks is we took the time to really settle down and we spoke with the community. We started asking questions about, how we can improve. We started a more powerful kind of marketing plan. We started talking to kind of more partners because it seems like in the entire space we have really as a global community we've just slowed down a little bit. We're waiting, right? We're waiting for that next kind of exciting bump. What our goal is, what we're really hoping here, very transparently, is that we can capitalize on that bear market right now. Your ability to enter a P2E and then write it as the market returns to normalcy has never been higher than right now. Your investment, your potential entry into a system like this is at an all-time low. If we would do it during a very healthy time, could we get a whole ton of people coming in and really hitting like a P2E project really hard? Yeah, because word of mouth gets, naturally, it's just kind of a part of the process. And I actually think that if we give it an appropriate amount of time, an appropriate amount of breathing room, this has the same potential if we launch in the right. That's what we're kind of measuring right now, right? We're kind of keeping our finger on the pulse of people's thoughts and their concerns. And what we want to do is launch at the point where we give all of our players the maximum amount of value. And as was often said in the police and thief AMAs, in the end, we have to be aware that this is a zero sum game. The coolest part about a zero sum game is that the AVAX community as a whole, the Avalanche network, gets to shoulder some of that if we ride the price from where it is now, relatively low, to all the way kind of to the top. Um, so that's the goal. I think that the bear market, as as with all things, if I hope all the investors out there, all the people that are interested in kind of playing with crypto, are seeing this as an opportunity. That's how I always look at it. The time to get return, the time to get value is right now. You just have to be at the right time, and I that's our goal, is to capitalize on that.
Okay, good answer. And then do you have any plan? Do you want to talk a little bit about the roadmap? I mean, do you have plans for other revenue streams, or what are you going to do when this, part of the game is built, or what's on the roadmap?
Yeah. So yes, there has been conversation about a phase two of this. We do have a few things in our pocket that could be very cool in terms of how we could give back to the community on a phase two for this project. For example, as people decide to level up their zombies and get increased rarity and all of that, we'll have chem available in the contract, and there's some really cool options for how to get that. It's not necessarily a new faucet, but a returning faucet back. And that could be a really exciting thing for a phase two. In full transparency, we want to make sure that this phase one is as strong as possible. So we've not really feature designed out. We have kind of, but we've done it over beers and having a really good time thinking about it as opposed to seriously. Now, as a group, one of the reasons why we're doing this is that we all have day jobs. We all have families. We all have the regular life. One of our goals is that every one of us wanted to, for me, I wanted to return to the game industry. And for Purple, he has always had a really, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but as he's told me, he's always had a passion for that. Our next step will be a game of some sort. And this is the pathway to generate probably, I've been really impressed with like Whale Island and a few of those others. I'd like to see something in there, but that's the next step for us.
Okay, very, very cool. All right. Well, yeah, and if you're just joining us, by the way, please do hit the like button. Feel free to ask questions. We are sitting up. We kind of talked about an hour, and we're getting close to that. Do you maybe want to let people know how they can get involved? So I would assume they can follow you on Twitter. They can hop into your Discord. But do you know when is launch? Is there going to be a whitelist? Is there going to be a pre-sale? What's the best way for people to get involved if they like what you're doing?
Yeah. So definitely you can go to humansarmean.games and join our Discord. We are running kind of a variety of whitelist options. We are just getting ready to turn a few more on, so there's none kind of right at the moment. But join the Discord. Um, a launch tactic that we are taking is that, frankly, we want the project to be successful, and what we're doing is we're monitoring our our Discord audience, our Discord hype, all of that, and we'll launch once that gets to a level that will have a successful G0, which means all of you will have a successful kind of value return in that, right? I don't, nobody wants to see another project that fails to complete their goal on G0. And that's really, we could set a launch date. We're very confident that like mid-July, but like I said, we're very much, we're extremely close to development complete, and we're working on only enhancements right now. So barring, I guess, much different than any other kind of project that I've been aware of, we're not waiting on development complete here. We're just waiting on an appropriate amount of marketing. We're waiting on an appropriate amount of word of mouth. So if this awesome community would be willing to join in, we have all of our information. Some of the screen share that I showed earlier is in this overview here at the top of our site. We have a full and very detailed white paper baked down for all of you that you can also ingest. This is what we've provided to hopefully gain the trust that we need out of the community. You can review any of that. Join our Discord would be what I would ask you very kindly to do. All of our announcements, everything comes through there. The link can be found at humansarmean.games. And that's the setup for success, I hope.
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking through. It's very interesting project, and I hope that it works because again, I love the play to earn games, and so I hope that we're able to kind of get the formula figured out for making these successful, and hopefully the market turns around because I know that will make it quite a bit easier going forward. Well, as we sign off here, is there any final words that you'd like to give to the audience?
Um, I Yes, absolutely. And I would say that kind of exactly like what you just mentioned. What we're really hoping to be is that next step into bringing health back into the community. Hopefully, we'll fight this bearish market and we'll see some return to what it was like around maybe December or maybe November. Really good time for the area. I'm excited for that, and I'm just stoked that to be on here. I want to say thank you, and if you're interested in coming in and testing out the project, James, you just give me a shout.
Okay, I'll definitely do that. I would love to test it out. So I'll shoot you a message on Discord and we'll see. And I'd feel free to reach out if you guys need tweets and retweets. I'd love to kind of just help, get the ball rolling and get eyes on the project as we get closer to launch here.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. And thank you, audience. As always, we can only do AMAs if people show up to watch them. So appreciate you guys coming on and watching. I should be back home on the 17th. So I'm looking forward to back to my internet, my microphone, my computer, and everything back to normal. So thank you, audience, for watching today. Thank you, Mr. Pink. Thank you, Mr. Purple. Appreciate you guys and hope everybody has a good rest of their day.
Appreciate it.
All right.